Welcome back to the show. Orpheus Musical Theatre. It just blows my mind to tell you they've been around 117 years, and I'm sure my next guest is going to correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's the oldest in Canada, if not the second oldest in Canada. JT Morris is the general manager. Let me just have him say it. Am I close?
You got it. It's the oldest in Canada,
it is.
Second oldest in North America.
In North America. Okay. I thought I remembered, because I love to remind people of that, because I don't think people have an understanding of how successful theater can be just for the love of theater, JT.
No kidding, because we're a community theater, right? So it's been run entirely by volunteers for that 117 years. And we're still here. Had a rough go a couple of years ago, like everybody else, but great season coming back, and the volunteers are just jumping at the bits to be here, right? So
I can imagine.
Yeah, it's pretty successful.
Yeah, tell me about that atmosphere. You know, I'm somebody that grew up in theater. It really changed my life, and I imagine for these volunteers, they probably feel the same way. It's just, it brings community together, right? I mean, it's such a great social atmosphere too for these volunteers.
Absolutely. I mean, putting on the shows is obviously the top priority, but the social is the top priority. Let's be real here.
I can imagine.
It is a community, and we're all about developing that. It really is a service to Ottawa. And so many people you hear about who walk in 30 years ago and they're still here. People have met their wives and their husbands there. People have gotten divorced from their wives and their husbands there and over again. But it's such a great atmosphere that's open to everybody. So,
but different demographics, right? You see young people working with, you know, as you just said, you know, maybe some retired people. That's what I love about what we do here at Rogers TV. Right? We have that same dynamic. I imagine it's much the same.
Very much the same. I mean, we had volunteers this year behind the scenes and on stage as young as 10. We have them as young as in their 80s and everything like that. So it's a great community.
Talking about this with Kasha, my last guest at the Canadian Museum of Nature, is, you know, people are coming back.
Yeah.
The atmosphere, the environment. Tell me about that. It must be fantastic.
So exciting, and I'm not going to lie, I was a bit worried. I thought it was going to be hard to get volunteers back after people have changed their lives through the pandemic and everything. But the second we started our first season back last year, everybody was just coming through the doors, and unfortunately we even had to say we don't have room for you right now, but we moved them to different areas. Yeah, but it's pretty exciting.
Audiences are back too, JT?
Audiences are back too. That's the harder one, and so we're addressing that this season with the big 3 shows that we have coming, and they're known entertainment. But yeah, audiences are definitely back, and who we had back clearly stated how much our productions have improved with all the work we did. So,
well, yeah, you mentioned, let's talk about what you've got coming up. Coming up in November, the 17th to the 26th, you've got Mary Poppins. I mean, an absolute classic.
Huge. Yeah. We're pretty excited for that one. That's going to be probably the most challenging show in our 117 years.
Really?
It's going to feature, I mean, I don't know if it's obvious, but a pretty big effect with Mary Poppins that we have never, ever done. So on the community theater stage, you are going to see some people up in the air. So we're pretty excited about bringing that to Ottawa.
Yeah, I guess that has changed, right, in theater. And you guys have to keep up to date just as much as any professional theater company, right? So has the technology in the last few years, which you've been able to bring to theater, has that changed dramatically?
Yes, and actually that's kind of why the shutdowns during the pandemic were a blessing for us. It gave us time to really look at our infrastructure, rebuild and train our volunteers on all the new techniques that have been happening in theater so we can catch up with it. It's pretty exciting. All 3 shows are going to feature it, not just Mary Poppins.
Okay.
But yeah, it's the tough go when you're a community theater. You want to keep audiences engaged with our high level of quality that we've been known for, and now we got to move it into the technical side. So it's pretty exciting.
Auditions then it must be coming up soon for Mary Poppins.
Yes, August 27th to the 30th, and actually this Sunday at 7 o'clock at Orpheus, we're having an info session on it. So if anybody's interested and wants to learn, it's open to everybody. We've got your audition spot reserved. So don't worry about that. But
please. What role would I play?
All of them. I thought it was going to be a one-man Mary Poppins.
One-man Mary Poppins
show. Auditions are closed. I'm sorry.
I don't know if my singing is quite up to par for what you guys
let me
listen. Oh, I should ask you about that. So do you have an acting background, JT? Tell me a little bit about it.
I was an actor. I mean, I'd still like to be, but I did my last show right up until the pandemic, and I haven't gone back since. But yeah, so I was a working actor beforehand, and now I'm an arts administrator, which is the new challenge that's very exciting.
But a passion to maybe down the road? I mean, could you do that as a general manager, or is that a conflict of interest? I don't know.
I don't know either. I haven't asked yet.
Well, there you go.
I'm thinking
the
about
next
it.
meeting, you can bring this up. You've got the Wizard of Oz as well. I mean, you can't pick better classics than what you guys have chosen. How do you go about choosing what you're going to perform and produce?
It's usually about a 2-year process. So we're already picking right now for 24, 25 and thinking about 25, 26. Wow. So we obviously want those big name titles that people want to come to. But then we also have to take into account, is that show available to produce? That really narrows down the number. And as a volunteer community theater, is it something we can pull off? Is it going to interest our membership? So it's those three things tied together that really create the season. And so this year, coming out of shutdown years and getting the audiences back, it was a no-brainer that we wanted big shows like Mary Poppins, Dreamgirls, and The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, Dreamgirls, that's the other one. I skipped over that one. That's right. So you've got Mary Poppins the 17th to the 26th of November, Dreamgirls March 1st to the 10th, and then The Wizard of Oz May 31st to June 9th. Yeah. You also have a Schoolhouse program. Tell me about that program.
We do. This is huge. So aside from our shows, we do a lot of development programs for people of all ages. And we talked about Schoolhouse when we launched it a couple of years ago. So we just wrapped up our 4th semester, and the numbers keep growing. And the big thing about this one is we reserve spots for children and youth from low-income families. They can come and get theater education for free, no questions asked. So over our 4 semesters, 60% of kids who have walked through the door are there absolutely free.
Amazing.
Yeah, so our fall programming is coming with vocal classes, acting classes. Stay tuned to our website, and there's going to be an opportunity for anybody to come and benefit from arts education.
Yeah, and I think you guys have done a great job realizing, a lot of people are having a difficult time right now, right? Yeah. When we've been talking affordability and housing in media for the last 3 to 5, 10 years. It's been a while. And you've kept your prices exactly the same. There's no price increases at all, right?
Exactly, and that's right. We realize everything else costs more. You shouldn't have to struggle for a family to come and see a night of theater. So there are no price increases. We, in fact, added even more lower price options. So you can see a show as low as $20.
OrpheusMusicalTheatre.ca to get your tickets. We'll be right back.